Joining us now, former Israeli National Security Advisor Eyal Hulata. Eyal, we're learning that Israel's spy agency, the Mossad, smuggled precision weapons into Iran long before the strikes. They established a base to launch drones from inside Iran, all theoretically under the nose of the Islamic Republic. As a former National Security Advisor, what stands out to you the most about the Mossad's operation here?
Well, thank you, Jake. It's good to be here again. I was National Security Advisor. I also served for 23 years in Mossad and in various technological roles. This is what this organization does. This is part of the role of this organization, not just to gather information, but to operationalize it and to prepare capabilities that could be used when needed, such as this. This is a very, of course, extreme case when Israel goes after leadership of the nuclear program and the military capabilities of Iran. This is what we've been doing. I think the audience have seen similar things also happening in Lebanon in the walkie-talkie and pager operations. It is part of Israel's positioning. It's part of Israel's posture. We have a strong hand through the Air Force that can reach and do a lot of damage, as we've all seen. But we also have a very, very good and sophisticated intelligence services.
So without giving up anything operationally, who does it? I mean, obviously Iran has a lot of dissidents who hate the current Iranian regime, who hate the Ayatollah, who want more freedom and democracy in Iran. Is it Iranians doing this? Is it Israelis pretending they're Iranians? Who are the people that are doing the, operationally carrying out these plans?
Well, Jake, that's a good question, but I think it's not a proper time to answer it.
I had to give it a shot. I had to give it a shot.
This just happened yesterday, and as far as I know, maybe some of them are still in Iran making their way out into safety. I think what's more important, if I may, Jake, and I know this is very, very intriguing, of course, but I think what's more important is to understand the selection of the targets at this point. And I've heard the previous set speaking about the nuclearization of Iran, whether or not Iran has been crossing the threshold, and I've heard what the head of the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, had to say. I just want to remind us that just a year ago, in July of last year, the intelligence report brought by the same DNI, just by the previous administration, couldn't state anymore that they were certain that Iran was not moving their weaponization program. And that is a very big deal. Sometimes we don't have the specific intelligence, and maybe sometimes Israel and the United States do not totally agree on what we see. But those scientists that were hit by that operation they just asked me about were starting to mobilize their weaponization program into a point where it might be too late for Israel, or it might even for the United States to attack. The fact that Mossad for months have built this capacity, gathered this information, targeted these people, monitored what they were doing, understood that they have already started doing things that might be too late in way of weaponization. I think that's even a more important piece this evening when we look at those issues. This is the reason why Israel acted. This is why it was so important to act today.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, domestically, politically, is in hot water. Israel's parliament, the Knesset, had met for talks about dissolving itself, forcing new elections. And polls show that Netanyahu, his party, would likely not triumph. There might be an alternate prime minister. Do you think that has anything at all to do with the timing of Israel's strikes against Iran?
So, Jake, as you know, I was National Security Advisor for the previous government. So, I worked with the complete opposite political faction of Israel. And I have to say that on Iran, the differences between the political factions is very, very limited. And if there were these conditions where Iran started moving ahead towards the weaponization, and when the IAEA and the Board of Governors of it just yesterday morning has declared for the first time in 20 years of non-compliance of Iran towards it, if the time is up with the negotiations, as Trump has put it, and time is ripe to carry out such an attack, I think this would have been done by any government in Israel, regardless of it. Now, of course, it's true. Prime Minister Netanyahu is in a dire political situation. We have a war in Gaza that has been waging for far too long. I thought it was appropriate to finish it and to move on and to focus on Iran. I've said this on many occasions and written on it. But that doesn't mean that acting now was not proper to do or not justified. This is getting backing from across the board in Israel, and I think also from the United States. We have all the reasons to believe, I won't get into details, and if President Trump doesn't want to expose completely what was the level of coordination with Israel, that's fine, because he also has his issues and political considerations. Israel could not conduct this strike without the administration allowing it to happen. If the administration didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm putting all of these dots together. It is true that Prime Minister Netanyahu was in a dire political situation, but this was the right thing to do at this point in time.
All right, Eyal Hulata, thank you so much.